Hey guys, Mark here with another fragrance review, this time on the house of Christian Dior. I would say this guy right here is probably their most popular fragrance ever since 2010, guys. This thing in 2010 just started picking up steam and on blogs, on websites, and of course on our forum, YouTube. This guy right here called Dior Homme Intense. Now today I'm tackling, of course, the vintage juice. I have the reformulation behind me. This video is not a versus video. I am working on a versus video, so you guys that do want to see me comparing both, I will be doing that, and I'm working on my full-fledged review on the reformulation just to bring that to light. But today we are going to be focusing on the vintage. You guys can watch this video and find out if you want to plunk down $100 to $200 for this fragrance, and I'm going to give you guys my take on that. So this guy, picking up steam around 2010, I would say, started selling like hotcakes, and a lot of people started talking about it. And I really think Dior didn't even know what they had in their hands when they first released this fragrance. This one, not a lot of people know about this. Actually first started out as a limited edition fragrance release. So it was only sold in certain stores. And it only was sold in a 50 milliliter bottle, a 1.7 ounce, at the start of the life of this fragrance. Now, once it started selling a little bit more, the sales started soaring, and of course a lot of people started talking about this fragrance. Dior actually made Dior Homme Intense a permanent fixture in their Dior Homme line. Of course, joining in the cologne version, and of course the original Dior Homme and the sport version. And they actually introduced a big boy 3.4 ounce bottle, which is what you're looking at right now. Now the Dior Homme line is probably the much more modern take for the whole Dior, Christian Dior house in the men's section. They are really known for their iris backbone to the line, a beautiful iris orris root in most of these fragrances. Of course, in that line there's the original Dior Homme, there's the sport version, and a cologne version with, of course, this Intense right here. Now the original, the sport, and the Intense all have been reformulated in the past few years. Now the most recent, of course, the sport in early 2012, I believe, was reformulated, and the cologne version is actually coming out this year in a beautiful white bottle. You guys got to see the cologne version, a beautiful bottle. All their bottles are beautiful. Now the reason for the reformulations have been talked about quite a bit. A lot of people are talking about, and for reformulations there's always reasons why, but I believe the reason for Dior to reformulate the Intense version right here is because they want to own all the rights to the juice. Since IFF owns the ingredients of the Dior line, so what they did is they're going to use their own ingredients so they can own all the rights to their fragrances. Which none of the new Diors that have been reformulated smell exactly like their older counterparts, unfortunately. So if you're a huge fan of the vintage juice of the Dior Homme, the sport, this guy in the cologne version, unfortunately the new versions are going to be slightly different or absolutely different from the old counterparts. So guys, let's start the Dior Homme Intense review. Let's go. Alright guys, time to tackle presentation for Dior Homme Intense Vintage. We're going to take a look at the bottle and the box in depth. Let's take a look at it. First and foremost, of course, on the Robes 08 channel, we're going to take a look at box first. And as you can see here, my cat Laker kind of went after this box a little bit, so it's in a little bit of rough shape. But let's take a look at it. Now vintage, we're going to take a look at the 4 rectangles on the box in the background here. That's going to let you know vintage. Dior Homme Intense sticker, EDP Dior. Nothing on the top, a little bit of info in the back, and of course your information at the bottom of the box, pretty standard here. Now let's take a look at the bottle, guys, and right when you pick this one up, it has a little bit of weight to it. You got some thick glass, and all I gotta say, guys, Christian Dior really outdid themselves with this Dior Homme line. This one looks absolutely gorgeous. Very nicely done. I think this is one of the best presentations in the designer game here. Very elegant look. Now let's take a look at it. We got Dior Homme Intense at the bottom right here. You got your brown juice and the heavy glass. And then if you take a look at the plastic cap, black plastic, we got, of course, the CD logo at the top of it. Let's remove the cap, and as you can see on the neck here, it's chromed out and it says Dior Homme across it. You got the black sprayer, One thing to note, it does not have the CD logo on top of the sprayer for this vintage juice. At the bottom, you got all your information, EDP, Christian Dior, all that jazz. Now let's take a look at the sprayer. Dior Homme sprayers usually are absolutely fantastic, and this one is no joke either, guys. This is great mist of juice coming out of Dior Homme Intense. So less sprays is better because it sprays quite a bit. Alright boys, time to look at bottle sizes for Dior Homme Intense, and comes in 3 sizes. We got, of course, the 1.7 ounce, the 3.4 ounces, which is right here, and then a very limited 5 ounce bottle. I believe it's only found in Europe. I could be wrong, but they do have 5 ounce bottles of this fragrance. You're looking at pricing retail. Unfortunately, this has been reformulated, so the vintage juice was retail around $60 to $120 American to purchase this fragrance. Now this juice, I just want to note that it is EDP concentration. Now this guy right here, Dior Homme Intense, was of course hit the shelves back in 2007, and it was reformulated in mid-2011. Just a little tidbit right there. Now awards, has it won any awards on my channel? Basically ever since I got this bottle, I fell in love right when I got this, and it has won awards for fall and winter all across the board ever since I got it. I purchased this back in late 2010, and it made my top 10 designer winter list at 2010 at number 7. Then the year after, in 2011, made my fall list, top 20 designer at number 4. And then, of course, in winter, same thing, my top 20 at number 4 also. Now, in 2012, I made my fall list, top 20 again at number 1. And in 2012, winter top 20 that I just released, it made at number 9. So very much one of my favorite designer fragrances of all time, to be honest with you guys. Ever since I sniffed this stuff, it's been a top 20. For fall and winter for the cool weather. Now group, this is a floral woody musk. Perfumier is François Demachy. Now he's of course the in-house perfumier for Dior. Recommended age, I really think Dior Homme Intense is very much a versatile fragrance. I know a lot of people say this is going to be a night out and it should be for more mature people. 20 and up. I really think high schoolers can wear this also. I'm the right high schooler. You gotta have that type of taste. You really need to like iris in your fragrances, but I really think anyone can really wear this fragrance. How many sprays and wear? I really like to wear less is more for me for this fragrance right here. I go with the 1 on the chest and then 2 on the neck, and I am set. I'm good. It actually does a perfect cloud for me. I've been trying to test it out with more sprays, less sprays, but really 3 sprays is enough with Dior Homme Intense. Now let's take a look at the notes. Top notes, we got vanilla and lavender. And then in the mid we got iris and we got cedarwood, and in the base we got vetiver and amber, and I'm going to add cocoa because it's not in the official note breakdown, but we definitely, if you've seen a review on Dior Homme Intense, there's lots of cocoa in this, and it's a really integral part of this fragrance. So let's sniff it out, and I'm going to tell you guys what this fragrance smells like. Alright guys, time to sniff out Dior Homme Intense. This is actually my favorite part of this fragrance review. Let's sniff this sucker out, and I'm going to let you guys know what this fragrance smells like from top to bottom. I'm going to do a small spray here on my hand to remind me of this introduction, this beautiful introduction of DHI. Now, the thing that I've noticed with this vintage version is it's a very strong introduction. It's going to give you a huge cloud right off the bat. This stuff is potent. Really EDP. This is an EDP to the fullest. It really gives you that huge cloud. It's very strong. And the quality of this introduction, that's the thing, right? It doesn't smell like alcohol right off the bat. I can sniff this right away and smell the quality ingredients of DHI. So this is one thing that really sets this apart in the designer game. So let's sniff this one out. Now, the first thing that hits my nose is a soft, powdery iris surrounded by chocolate cocoa. There's some sweet vanilla here to give you some sweetness, and there's a small pinch of woods. I believe that's either the cedar or the vetiver. I believe it's the cedar popping off here in the introduction, but the cedar's in the background, so it kind of mans it up just a bit. But your main players are going to be that cocoa and that iris, of course. Now, I'm going to tackle the iris a little bit, that orris root that you smell. It's going to give some people a waxy feeling, some people a clay-like feeling. For me, it's more creamy and powdery. This iris really nicely done. Some compare it to Play-Doh or a lipstick bag. That feeling, that iris first and foremost, really sets Dior Homme and the Intense version apart from a lot of designer fragrances. This iris note that Dior uses is absolutely bonkers, ridiculous. But that note is going to take a lot of sniffers away from this fragrance as a whole. People are going to feel like it's a little feminine. It's something that it's a little more daring than your run-of-the-mill designer fragrance. So I do understand that. I really would like some people that first smell this fragrance in the introduction, give it some time, let that cocoa swoop in, because it will swoop in the mid of this fragrance. I'm going to let you guys know about that. I really feel this introduction to me is simply magic, in my opinion. I was a huge fan of Dior on the original. I felt that one was a masterpiece. Then I smelt this, and I'm like, man, Dior hit a home run with DHI, and they simply did. With that top note, absolutely gorgeous. Let's delve into the dry down a little bit. Let's go into the mid. Now this dry down is where the magic happens. I love saying that for this fragrance because that's what it is. The transition from iris being kind of like the dominant note in this introduction kind of gives way to the cocoa, which is going to bring back some users. They're going to be like, wow, this dry down is absolutely gorgeous. So the cocoa, I believe the cocoa and the vanilla kind of take over here. The iris is more in the background. It's still there, but definitely vanilla and cocoa are your major players in this mid. The cocoa and the iris here, when they meet, like when the cocoa kind of comes up and the iris kind of comes down and they meet together in this mid, is just a perfect combination of notes. Like the iris, the powderiness of the iris kind of comes in with the cocoa, and the cocoa kind of feels like powdered chocolate type of feel. I've never smelt that together in a fragrance before, and that's what kind of sets this apart from other designer fragrances. Absolutely great. Powdered chocolate feeling with a little hint of vetiver and cedar here. These kind of climb up a little bit to man it up a bit. There's a large dose of vanilla in here, lots of sweetness in here, which definitely makes this one tippy-toe into the gourmandish category. I really wouldn't call this a gourmandish fragrance, but it's tippy-toeing into it. Now once this dries down on your skin more into the base at the end of this fragrance, mainly it's a cocoa infused vanilla bean. The vanilla and the chocolate is basically, the cocoa is definitely your major players. There's tons of sweetness at the end of this fragrance. It's backboned by the green vetiver and the cedar, and this is basically how Dior Homme Intense ends on your fragrance. Absolutely gorgeous, well blended. Now I'm going to tackle differences between the original and the reform. Again, this is not a versus video, but I just wanted to touch down on it a little bit because I know my viewers really want to know what I feel about it. Now the original, this one right here, DHI Vintage, is a little more oomph to it when you first spray it on. Definitely a huge cloud of projection on this guy, much more than this guy right here behind me. Of course, the reformulation. There's a fuller cocoa-like feel in this guy and iris in this guy than the other guy right here. It seems richer and deeper as a fragrance. Now the reform is just a different way to get the same basic result. I wouldn't say there's a huge difference, especially if you're not reviewing it and dissecting it like me. I can tell you lots of differences between both of these, but to be honest, the casual user, how are they going to know? It's basically this different way to get a same result, I would say. I believe this one lasts a lot longer on my skin. The reformulated is still a solid scent, but not the exact same. Is it worth an extra $100 to $200 to purchase the vintage against the reformulation on eBay? I don't think so. I'd probably pay an extra, probably $20 to $30 to purchase this one instead of the reform, just because I know this one can do much more on my skin, and of course for my nose, not for everybody else's. It just seems like Dior told Dimashi, here's the vintage, try to do it with our own ingredients, try to replicate it, and that's what they came out with. That's basically it, guys, but I'm going to have more on the versus video on those two when we get to it. So let's get to the overview, and I'm going to let you guys know what vintage DHI means to me. Let's go. Alright guys, time for the overview on Dior Homme Intense, the vintage version. This fragrance right here is definitely a upper class scent. I love saying that for some fragrances. You know, you can dress them up with a tuxedo. You can wear this for your wedding day if you want, if you wish. I really think there's only a few handful of fragrances that just can pull that off, that classy scent, and DHI can do it. Dior Homme also can do it. They really did an outstanding job with these two fragrances. There's a reason why people are headbutting each other trying to find this vintage version, because it really is an upper class scent. I know a lot of people don't like it when I say niche quality. When I say niche quality, I mean upper class, or high quality ingredients are used in this fragrance. This is basically something that Dior did. They put high quality ingredients, and to be honest, like that iris in this fragrance and Dior Homme, it's something that's away from the norm of all designer fragrances. They kind of went away from that blueprint. The iris in Dior Homme Intense is the same thing as Dior Homme. It's a major factor in this scent, and it is the reason why this fragrance is so beautiful. It is the standout note in this fragrance. I know a lot of people are going to say it's the cocoa. I don't know. I think without the iris in this fragrance, I don't think the cocoa would work as well. It blends masterfully with the cocoa. If you really hated it, that iris note in the Dior Homme, it may bother you still in this one, or perhaps it's masked enough by the cocoa and the cedar and all these other notes that you may just start enjoying it. And you might start with this guy and then actually start enjoying this fragrance, and then go check out Dior Homme and actually start liking that one. So I really think the standout note in this fragrance was actually the iris. I'll go this far and say this is my favorite from the Dior Homme line. They're all great. You gotta say, they're all great, and they're usually, most of them are peppered in my top 20 lists. But this one edges the rest, and you can see the proof's in the pudding. I've been wearing this. I've even been wearing the reformulation quite a bit, actually. So it's a date scent. It's sexy. It's classy at the same time. It's rich. It's deep. It's seductive. It's refined and sophisticated. I believe this one will be much more commercially appealing than Dior Homme, just because of that, just that risky high-end iris note, which is intense in the Dior Homme, is actually kind of masked in this one with, of course, the soft cocoa. They're both masterpieces, by the way, Dior Homme and this guy right here. I believe both masterpieces in the designer game. They did an absolutely gorgeous job. But I think this one's more commercially appealing as far as sales go than the original Dior Homme. I really think they went with the iris note. They just threw it out there, and I know a lot of men that don't like that fragrance. Just too feminine for them. This kind of masked a little bit. Excellently blended. This is where quality in the designer game just really matters. It just stands out, and it shows that your $70 to $80 is actually put into this bottle. There's too many designer fragrances that cost an upwards of $70 to $80 and are not worth your money. If you sniff alcohol for 10 seconds, there's a problem, especially if you're spending that type of money. Now, why would you hate this fragrance? Well, of course, the same problems with Dior Homme are going to come into this fragrance just because of that iris note. The lipstick vibe is still there. Yes, it's feminine. The sweetness, it might be a little too sweet for some people. It might be tippy-toeing into the unisex. It's not manly enough for some guys, and I could definitely see that. And those are majorly the problems with this fragrance, people, why they would hate this fragrance. Not too many people hate it though. Now, bottles. This fragrance cannot be compared to really anything in the game right now. I'm going to throw out a few names here and there, but they're definitely not comparable to this fragrance right here. L'Instant de Guerlain Extreme has that cocoa. If you really like that cocoa-like feel, definitely check that one out. I believe L'Instant de Guerlain Extreme is much more manly than this fragrance, to be honest with you. Anything with a really strong tonka bean in it, what comes to mind is like Armani Code or La Nuit de l'Homme are fragrances that if you do own, this one kind of is set for the same type of situation. So heavy tonka based fragrances like that. Dior Homme, if you absolutely love the original Dior Homme, guys, you're gonna fall in love with this fragrance. Both masterpieces, and some may prefer Dior Homme. For me, they're both equally on par. Excellent fragrances. Best time to wear it, Dior Intense. I wear this one on a night out, casually, on dates, formal, clubbing. I wear this, you can wear this at the club, no problem. It's got heavy longevity and projection on it. It's made for an upscale event, but I can also wear it casual use. Like, I can wear this with jeans and I can wear this with a tux. That's how much I love this fragrance. It's highly versatile, to be honest, for a high-end type of fragrance. Compliment factor. Now this guy kind of gave me different, you know, some people hate this fragrance. Like right off the bat, very, very low. They're going to smell this, you smell like a girl. They're going to smell it right out of the bottle, and that's what they're going to say. You smell feminine. It smells feminine. And to some people, it's really high-end. I found it took most people a while to smell this fragrance on me to appreciate it. And when they did, they loved it. I remember a coworker, when I first got this in duty free, I bought this with Dolce & Gabbana, the One Gentleman. When I first brought those two overseas, Dolce & Gabbana, the One Gentleman, got rave reviews. This one, nobody really liked it. Now, I've been testing it out overseas for about a year or two now. And that same person, that guy that actually bought the One Gentleman, smelt this on me while I was testing it, you know, a few days, and he's like, dude, what are you wearing? And I'm like, this stuff. He bought a bottle when he came back home, and this is now his signature scent, and he told me he's not wearing Dolce, the One Gentleman anymore. This is his signature. He's going to only wear this. So it does have that effect on people, but again, compliment factor, you're going to get two sides of the coin just because this fragrance is kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. So compliment factor, not a, you know, huge, but definitely two sides of the coins, 50-50. My 2 cents, guys, on DHI Vintage. You guys already know I love this stuff. This thing, the only thing that we need to know is this going to be a perfect 10 on my review. But my 2 cents on this fragrance, there's a coincidence why I'm wearing a nice crisp white button-down shirt with a black tie. This is my white shirt and black tie fragrance. Elegant enough to wear to a high-end party, to a wedding, to, you know, to a prom, but also can be dressed down with jeans. This fragrance, just like a white shirt and black tie, it's not too flashy, it's simple, elegant, timeless. This is what DHI is all about. You can wear it casually. It's not too crazy or fun or flashy to be, you know, not worn to a wedding or a prom, but elegant enough to wear to those situations. So definitely a fragrance that I think is much more versatile than you think. Buy, try, or pass. This is easy for me. Buy. If you can find this, I know it's going to be hard to find, but if you can find the vintage juice for, I would say I would be willing to pay $120 and less for a bottle of this stuff. That's it. If it's going more than that, really the Reform, as you guys are going to see in my Versus video, I'm going to let you guys know, Reform's good enough. Reform's good stuff too, guys. But this stuff is absolutely bonkers. It's a definite buy for $120 or less. So let's get to the rating system. See if this guy gets a perfect 10. Thanks, YouTube. Alright guys, time to rate Dior Homme Intense. As you can see, 9 and 10 across the board for projection, longevity. Projection, 9 bottles out of 10. Very good scent cloud throughout the life of the fragrance. Longevity, even better, 10 bottles out of 10. This one, 9 to 12 hours, any given wearing. Versatility, this one's pretty good actually. 8 bottles out of 10. I really felt like I could wear this one up, dress this one up, and dress this one down. Overall smell, 10 bottles out of 10. Excellent. Seasons, winter, fall, spring, and summer nights. It is great for an upscale event and casual use alike. It's my favorite from the Dior Homme line, and it is a must sniff. Overall, welcome to the Perfect 10 Club. DHI, 10 out of 10.